Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kathy. If you are new here, thanks so much for stopping by. If we've painted together before, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Today's technique video is on how to paint Easter eggs. So let's take a look at the supplies that we will be using and then we will jump right in. So we have three colors that we'll be painting with today. We have bright pink, perfect purple, and blue peacock. These are FolkArt multi-surface brand paints. I am a big fan of the multi-surface because no matter what project we paint on, these paints will work for that. So whether you're painting on glass or wood or tin or a canvas, multi-surface will work. You don't have to have a different paint for each type of project that you're doing. So that's great. This is not a sponsored video by any means. I just like sharing with you guys the products that I use and that I have used for years and that I know work well for this method of painting. Okay, so we have our three colors of paint. We have two paint brushes we're using today. This is a number 12 flat. Okay, and we have a number 1 liner brush. Whatever size you guys have at home to paint along with will work just fine. Any sort of flat brush will work for this project, so don't worry if you have the exact size. We're not worried about that. All right, let me scooch these out of the way and we'll see what else we have. We have our very fancy paint palette. This is just a styrofoam plate and we've got our little blobs of paint. I was testing this color here, so pay no attention to that. But we have our colors already on here. Off in the distance here, we have our brush basin. This just has water in it to rinse our brushes. And then here on the table, we have wax paper, okay? And this is our practice surface. So whether you're painting with me at home through YouTube, or if you come to one of my live paint events, we will always have the wax paper. It's a great practice to surface on. Surface to practice on. It's a nice smooth surface, very economical. You can get a whole roll, for just a couple dollars. So it's a great thing for practicing at home as you're learning these strokes and getting used to using these brushes. So it works great. All right, so let me grab our little inspiration for today. This is just some examples of some Easter eggs. This is just cardstock. Would make a really sweet greeting card, just to give you some inspiration here. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to paint the eggs and get the shape and then talk about the little decorations. And then I will show you guys a couple projects that I have just for inspiration. The cool thing about whenever we paint together, and we're learning one technique, you can then apply it to all kinds of things. So you could take these Easter eggs and put them around a wine glass, or you could do a canvas, which I'm going to show you here towards the end. I also have another little project with a clay pot and saucer, so I'll show that to you. But this is our inspiration. These are the shapes that we're going to practice today. All right, so let's grab our flat brush. So I grabbed my number 12 flat brush, and we will grab our styrofoam plate, and let's get the paint onto the brush. Now for today's video, we're not double loading. We're not doing more than one color. We're just going to simply load this pink color onto our brush. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dip in the paint, and then I'm going to really squish that brush down, pull it towards me, push away, pull it towards me, push away. Okay, and you guys can kind of see the stripe there. We call this just a blending spot or a loading spot. And today, like I said, we're just doing the one color. So just swoosh in that pink paint, give it a good swooshing back and forth. And we really want to just kind of load that up. You want this brush to be pretty goopy. Okay, you want a lot of paint. A lot of times when we're starting off with this method, the one thing I see that people have the most trouble with at first while they're learning these strokes is that they just don't have enough paint on their brush. So that's the one thing as we're troubleshooting, maybe why your strokes don't look like mine is I will make sure that you have enough paint. So you'll hear me say, put some more paint on the brush. We need a little bit more paint. And that solves, one of the most common problems, I think. So definitely make sure that's all loaded up there. Okay. All right. I'm going to stick the plate over here. Now, as we're practicing, you'll feel when your paint brush runs out of paint. So when it does, you just come back over to the same thing, dip in your color, swoosh back and forth, and then you keep painting. Okay, so let's go to our wax paper and let's talk about this egg shape. Now, one thing I will tell you, when you are painting things like eggs, things that are round or oval, the one thing that I will tell you that happens is they do tend to grow really quickly. Because what's going to happen, and you'll see, because we're going to practice here on the wax paper, is you'll start to get this egg shape, and then you'll go, oh, you know what? I need a little bit more on this side. And then you'll do that. And then you'll look at it and go, oh no, I need a little bit more on this side. And by doing that, sometimes those shapes tend to grow really quickly. So my advice is start small. You can always add to these to make them bigger. but it happens really quickly, and you'll see as we're practicing here. Okay, so we're going to start with our brush straight up and down. And if you think of, I'm going to go back to our card one more time. If you think of how an egg is shaped, it is a little pointier at the top of the egg shape and a little rounder on the bottom. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind as we're starting. You can really see it on this blue one. It's a little pointier up here, but rounder. Okay, so that's how we're going to start. We are going to start actually from the top of the egg and work our way down. So we will have our brush straight up and down. Okay, it's more vertical, so up and down this way, not sideways, if that makes sense. We're going to start, and I'm going to do a couple eggs along here just so you can kind of get a feel for it, but we're going to start here. So we're going to start right up on the edge, okay? And if you think of an egg shape, it's almost like a parentheses, so kind of think of it that way. We're going to start here. I'm going to touch. I'm going to pull down towards me and then curve around. Okay, so you can kind of see it's like the parenthesis side. Now, here's what we want to do. We want to start right back up where we started before. This time you're going to lay it down to the left and curve out and around. And I'm just going to swoosh it around. Okay, so let's look at that again. We're going to start here, vertical, right on the edge. We're going to pull to the right. We're going to pull down and around. I'm going to go back up to the top. I'm going to lean it to the left and pull down and around. And then, of course, we would fill that in. Okay, so now here's what happens. Let's say I want to make this a little pointier. Okay, so I'm going to come up here and tweak it a little bit and just give it a little bit more of a point. But it's real easy at this point to come and go, oh, I want this part a little more round. I want this part around. And that's what it tends to grow. So start small, like we said, and you can always add to it. All right, let's do another one here just so we can see. And I will hold this up at the end so you guys can kind of get a feel for the shape. Okay, so again, the brush is straight up and down. It's vertical. I'm going to touch. Okay, that will be the top of the egg. So that's really where that point, if you think of where that point of the top of the egg is. Okay, I'm going to swing around and to the right. Got the parentheses. Okay, now think of what we want to do next, because this is where we want it sort of closer together up top, but a little wider here. So I'm going to go back to our exact same spot. I'm going to touch there. Now I'm going to slide down into the left and bring that around. Okay, and then kind of fill that in. See, now this one got a little chunkier, and that's okay. That's okay. Easter eggs can be all shapes, but I do want to make this one just a little bit rounder with the point up top. So I want to come up and bring it down, and I'm just right on the edge of that brush, and then we'll come fill it in. Okay. Let's do one more. The one thing, you guys, the one thing that will make doing any of the strokes that you paint with me better is the more you do them over and over again. That's just the one thing. Okay, so we're going to do another one here. Make sure I'm still able to see it here. Start straight up and down. I'm going to lean to the right and bring him around. So you got that side of the parentheses. I'm going to start back in that same spot, and I'm going to come down to the left and bring it around and then fill in. Okay, I want to tweak this point a little bit, so we're going to come up here and just fill that in. Okay, and when you think of that point up top, it really is kind of like a top of an arrow, if you think of that. So we come up and then down. So it's really the top of the egg you want up and then down. Okay, and then you just fill that in. Okay, now this is one we're just going to tweak a little bit, just make him a little rounder at the bottom there. Okay. Let's do one more just for fun, and then we will talk about adding all the accents in. Okay, let's do one more right here. So we're going to, again, start straight up and down. I'm going to pull down to the right and curve around. I'm coming right back to where we left off, so I'm going to start up top. I'm going to slide to the left and down and around, and then we fill in. Okay, and then I just want to kind of soften this point up a little bit, come up and then down. Remember the top of the arrow there. Okay, Let's see, I don't want to lift it all the way up yet, but you can kind of see the shapes there. All right, so once we have our basic shape, that's when we can now come back with our liner brush and do all the little highlights. So let's take a look at our little skinny brush. So this is where we're going to grab our little skinny liner. This is the brush that we use for any sort of detail work. So if you were going to do some writing, we're going to talk about these little lines and the squiggles. So anything, honestly, think of it as like a pen or a pencil where you would be doing some small detail work. So that's what this little skinny brush will be. Anything you need to just have real small. All right, let's start with this blue Peacock. I just love this color. So we're going to grab this little skinny brush. Now with this one, we load this brush a little bit different. We don't swoosh back and forth. With this one, we dip in the paint and then you sort of just rotate it. If you can see my fingers are kind of rotating, kind of rolling it in the paint. Because what that'll do is work the paint up into the brush without making the bristles real wide. Okay, so you'll just sort of touch into the paint, roll it in your fingers, kind of pull it out. You see how I'm sort of pulling out a different kind of blending spot there. Okay, but as you can see, then there's a lot of paint on that brush. And the point is still together, so that'll be the important part. Okay, so let's go in and we'll do some decorating of these eggs. Let's start with this one up here, and I'm just going to do some zigzags. So when you're holding this little liner brush, you can hold it almost down to the ferrule, down to that silver part, because we do hold it like a pen or a pencil, okay? And then we're just going to touch right on the edge. So if you're, I'm going to angle a little bit just so you guys can see it, but don't kind of keep it straight up and down. You want to just use it, like we said, like a pen or pencil, just right on that tip. Okay, so I'm just going to start here, and we're just going to real lightly touch and do some zigzags. Okay, the harder you push down, the more wide your lines will be. So it's all about the pressure. If you want real skinny lines, you stay right up on that edge. If you would like lines that are a little fuller, like I'll do some here, then you just push down and squish, and you see how those become wider. Okay, so it's all in the pressure of how you're holding it. Now you guys will feel when you need paint. Okay, I'm just coming back to my blending spot and rolling it, just like we did when we were first loading the paint on. Every time you need to pick up paint, you come back and do the same thing. So just kind of roll it. All right, let's come back to this guy. And again, this is where we press down a little harder to make that strip a little wider. And we'll give him some stripes there. Okay. I am going to hop over to my brush basin real quick because I'm going to rinse this guy out because now I want to switch up to purple. Okay, so you just rinse the brush real good, and then we will come back to our paint palette here, and this is our purple. So same thing, we're going to kind of swoosh it around. Remember, roll it in your fingers. This is where we want to just roll it and pull it out. So you can get the paint all on the brush, but still keeping that point together. So you have a nice point for doing your detail work. Okay. All right, let's come down to this egg here. Let's see. I think I'm going to do 2 stripes on him. So I'm just going to be right up on that edge, and I'm going to come and do 1 and then 2. And then we'll do the same down at the bottom here. Oops, got a little hair there. Let's take that off. Okay, and then we'll come here and we'll just kind of curve over. So again, you're just holding it down towards the bottom of the brush, just touching right on that edge to keep those lines nice and together. Okay, so using the skinny brush, that's how we get our lines, our details. We had our zigzags and just sort of filled in. Now, for polka dots, you guys know if you've painted with me before, I'm a huge fan of polka dots. So the easy way, the best way, the way I love to do polka dots is by taking this little skinny liner brush, and we are going to turn it over, and we are actually using the handle to make our polka dots. And I love this method. It gives you very uniform polka dots. They all come out the same size. It's just, it works great. So let's grab some blue. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to dip that handle in the blue and then give it a tap, and you can see you get a polka dot. And every time you will get consistent same size polka dots. Okay, so let's put some polka dots on our eggs. This is fun. And what I do for the polka dots is I dip, I tap, I dip, I tap. So keep your plate handy for this because each time you want to freshly dip and then tap. That'll ensure that you have enough paint on your handle to do these. Okay, so let's come to this middle one, and I am just going to dip and tap and dip and tap, and we will get a pattern of polka dots going across. All right, let's go. I think let's put a couple polka dots up here too. We'll just kind of go polka dot up top, and then a polka dot on the bottom. So again, we're just keeping these colors real simple today, just so you guys can see the technique. But you can obviously, and I'm going to show you some examples, you can go crazy with all the different colors. So you can choose bright colors like what we had here, and get your hot pinks and your blues and your purples, or you can go with really soft colors, which is like what I first showed you there, just real soft pastel colors. But the amount of decorating you can do is unlimited. You can do so many different things, so many different colors. It's just so fun. All right, let me do this. Let's lift this up here so you guys can see just kind of a different angle. Okay. You can kind of see the zigzags and the polka dots and the things we did there. Okay, it's a little bit of a glare with that wax paper, but that's okay. Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about the shape and stuff and some ideas, let me show you a couple other projects here. All right, so we saw the card. I've been showing you that one this whole time, so you've seen that. All right, this is a clay pot. Okay, that's been painted pink, and around the bottom are all these eggs. Glued to the top of this is a saucer, and around the edge of the saucer is all these Easter eggs. Look at all the colors. So like we were talking about, it's just unlimited, the things you can do. And I know it's hard to see. I'm going to see if I can lift this angle up just a little bit. There we go. So you can kind of see it's just a cute little centerpiece. Okay, you could set a plate or a bowl or something really cute on here. You could set a plant on it. You could set a candle on top. It could be the centerpiece on your table. Okay, but how cute. So we just base coated it one color and then painted the Easter eggs all around it. Isn't that just fun? I just love being able to share project ideas with you guys. Okay. This one is probably one of my favorites. This is a canvas, and I've been doing this one at my live paint events. Let me see if I'll raise the camera again. But look at the size. These are all really big Easter eggs. And then at the top, we have Happy Easter. Okay, so this is a good size canvas, so I know it's hard to kind of get in the view there. But look at all the details on the eggs, you guys. Can you see the glitter and the zigzags? We've got some plaid, some swirls. Every detail you see there, all the fine detail was done with that liner brush, just like we just practiced, okay? So everything you see here is something you can do just with those two brushes that we had. And then where it says Happy Easter, that is with that little skinny liner brush, exactly what we just practiced, okay? And all of these we practice on the wax paper first before putting it on the canvas. And that's how we do it. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today for this Easter egg video. I hope it was fun. If you enjoyed the video, if you would hit that like button down below, that would be great. That lets me know that you enjoyed the video. There is also a subscribe button, and that will let you know when I post new videos. It'll just kind of notify you that there's something new out there that you can go watch at your leisure whenever you have time. But any suggestions, any comments, please feel free to put those in the comment section below. I love hearing feedback. I appreciate you guys so much who have sent me messages, and I always ask for suggestions on things you guys would like to see. So it really does mean a lot when you guys give me feedback like that. I just love it. So I hope you guys enjoyed our Easter egg painting time today, and I hope to see you for the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.